Hello everyone, today we're diving into how to use Microsoft Teams to manage our projects effectively. Whether you're just getting started or need a refresher, we've got you covered in this video. I've been in your shoes juggling Planner, Teams, files, stored in multiple locations and trying to make sense of it all. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to turn Microsoft Teams into your project hub, where you can manage files, hold meetings, track tasks and centralize all project conversations seamlessly in one place. So before we get started, let's define what we mean by project and processes. Now, projects are one-time initiatives with a start and end date which are defined, like creating a customer portal, for example. Processes, on the other hand, are cyclical tasks like month-end accounting close. Today we'll focus solely on the project side of things, but Microsoft Teams is great for both sets of tasks. So let's dive into our first step and we'll create a Microsoft team for our project. I like to do a separate team for each project as I go. You can create teams for all sorts of things. Departments are another popular one, but I do create a separate team for each project. And then once it's completed, it can be hidden and archived away, and eventually retention policies will take care of the data lifecycle management on that side. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Teams, and let's dive into our first step, which is actually creating a Microsoft team for our project. So in the Teams app, click the plus button and we select Create a Team button. And we need to give this a name, so we're going to do a customer portal project. So we'll call it customer portal. And I like to include some text just to let everybody know what the project is about. So we'll leave it as that for now. And we also need to name our first channel. So up until recently, the first channel defaulted to the name General, but now Microsoft are giving you the opportunity to name it whatever you want. So I'm going to call it All, because for two reasons. The first is it begins with an A, which means it'll be close to the top because the channels generally list themselves alphabetically. And the second one is it kind of gives a hint as it being the central location for information. So we just click Create. We can see that, nice work. Okay, you can see on the left hand side there, Customer Portal Project, it's actually created that. And we can add some team members to the project. So let's add a couple of people in here. So we've got Arthur and Ford. And we'll add those in. And then that way, everyone in the project team will have access to the files, the conversations and the tabs. So if this is your first time using Teams for project management, I keep it simple when you're creating the actual team and its channels. So we'll leave it as just that one all channel for now. It's simple, and as the project grows, we can always create additional channels for specific subtopics or subteams, but let's focus on organizing everything within this first channel for now. So the next step is to set up the project hub, and we do that by if I click into this team. Okay, so we've got three tabs at the moment: Post, Files and Notes. And the Post tab is your project's chat hub, and I'd really encourage you to get into using that for all project related communication. So don't use email, don't use other tools. Everything related to this project should be in here. 99% of your comms should be included in this, so all the members of your team can see it. It's particularly important if you're working in a hybrid environment where you're not necessarily sitting next to your project team colleagues. So I like to start each channel with a post, just to welcome everybody to the team, and I'm going to do it as an announcement as well. So to do that, next to the post button, you can see a post type. and we've got one called announcement there, and we can add a picture. So I'm going to just quickly upload an image that I've got here, and we can use the slider there just to resize it. We'll make it a little bigger. Done. I'm no artist, and we'll give this the same name. So customer portal project, and say welcome. Now, in here is where we can use our @. So I'm going to use @all, and then that will copy Arthur and Ford into the communications. I could have used @Arthur and @Ford as well to do this. So all, we'll just pop in a quick message. Welcome to the customer, and we'll post that. Okay. So that's the first post done. Yeah. So another tip I can give you is when you're asking people to do things. So let's make that into a post, and let's do just a dummy one here. So project updates, and we'll use the two actual names here. So @Arthur and @Ford to demonstrate this. I give more detail than this in the real world, and I can post that. And then when Arthur and Ford, Arthur and Ford are obviously fictional characters, so they give a plus, and I can see that they've read the message, they've understood it, and they're gonna complete that task. So that's our first couple of posts on that, and I think the conclusion or the takeaway is to avoid using the direct messages for project discussions, and transparency is definitely key in project work. So we can move over to the next tab, which is the Files tab, and this is where all of our project documents should live. And I like to give a little bit of structure to get people going, because seeing a blank folder is sometimes a little bit confusing, and you tend to get people with different ideas creating all sorts of documents or folders, and they often overlap. So we click on new, and I'm going to create a folder there. So admin is probably a good one to start with. And I almost forgot, but yeah, I tend to number most of these, again, to keep it at the top of lists and in a particular order. And in our project, we're bound to have some meeting recordings. I like to record meetings, and if you've got Copilot, you can use all the recap features as well, which is a very good feature. And the third one here is our resources folder. I forgot to number the second one. We'll go back and do that, show you how to do that in a second. So 3 resources. So we can just click the 3 dots there, and rename is in the list. We'll call that one number 2. We'll update that, and as you can see, it pops it in order there. So the next item to do is the Notes tab, and this creates a OneNote document. But as I said in the last video on the to-dos, I tend to try and split these now, and I use OneNote for my notes, my personal notes, and bits and pieces. So I'm actually going to remove this, but we will replace it with Loop. I like to use Loop. Now you can click on plus here. As you can see, there are lots of different apps that you can integrate directly in, but if we try Loop, we'll find that Microsoft haven't actually provided an integration for this yet. So this is a bit of a workaround to get this integrated. So we'll actually use the website feature, but I'll switch over to Loop now, and I'll show you how we set that up, and then we'll integrate it manually into Teams. Yes, it is manual. It is extra steps, but it's a one-hit thing per project, and I think it's well worth the slight extra effort. And I believe Microsoft are actually working on the integration, so at some point we will actually see Loop in this list, which will make things much easier. So let's head over to Loop. Okay, so here we are in Loop, and we access this by going in in a browser to loop.cloud.microsoft, and it'll bring up this page. Alternatively, if you're accessing this for the first time, you can go to the office.com home screen and do a search in the app list for Loop, and it'll bring this up. Now, the reason I like to use Loop over OneNote is I think it's a more collaborative workspace, and it's maybe got the edge now on OneNote in its flexibility for managing meeting notes, project plans, and that type of thing. So to create our workspace, you can see there's a few already in here. We click on Create New and New Workspace, and I like to keep the naming convention the same. So I'm going to call this the Customer Portal Project. So the same on there. Now, due to a limitation on my test tenant, I can't actually invite the members we invited into the team, but in the real world, you would invite the same members into the Loop workspace as you did into the actual team we did previously. So I'm just going to have to hit continue here, and then I'm going to click create, and this is the type of screen that we see. So there's a hierarchy here. We can add more items in as we go. So I'm actually going to call this one meetings, because we mentioned before that we were going to do meetings, which is quite cool. And then I'm going to actually hit the three dots here, and I'm going to put in some pages. Again, it's nice to actually set something up so people have got some structure there, and they're not just looking at a blank page. So I'm going to call a new subpage, and I'm just going to use the dates. So what dates have we got? So we've got the 4th, the 11th, and the 18th. Let's do a weekly meeting. So let's call that the 11th. 24. And I'm going to deliberately make a mistake. I'm going to put a new subpage here, and I'm going to call that the 18th.12.24. So it's uniform, and then we can click out, and we can see that I've actually indented the page there, which doesn't conform with our hierarchy. So I can rearrange this, and I can promote the subpage back out, and we'll also drag these around a little bit so our meetings are in order. And the next thing to do that I like to do is to create a new page entirely once we've done our meetings. So if I click on here, and I'm going to actually choose one from the template gallery, because you can see on the left hand side here we've got lots of different templates, and the project planning one, to be fair, has pretty much everything you'd need for a basic project. So I'm just going to click on use template there, so you can find it with the little diamond, and it goes through what you need to do. So let's change this. We've actually started this project, so we can define our roles. So I'll be the project manager in this one, and I can assign myself to this role, and away we go there. And I can give some background. I can put tasks in here, and as you would include everybody in this, everybody will have access to this content, and they can follow along on the project. So if I go back into my first meeting here for next week, I want to create an agenda. And one of the reasons I like Loop is it's very simple to make it to build up lists and things. And if I just click on there and I do a bulleted list, so agenda item 1 and agenda item 2, and then when we use Teams, everybody can see this agenda, and they can input. It's very, very flexible, and everybody's got access to the same resources. So let's final thing to do here. We've kind of created a basic structure. Is to copy this URL, and we'll use that back in Teams. So with files, you may have noticed earlier when I clicked on Create New that we've actually got an upload a file option here. Now, I'd advise not to use this for your projects and actually to link to a file from Teams. So if you put your files into that Teams file section where we created the admin folder and the meeting recordings, and then actually copy a link into Loop, I think that's a better way to go about that. So let's head back over to Teams, like I said, and we'll pick up from there. Okay, so here we are back in Teams, and let's get that Loop workspace integrated by clicking on Add a Tab, and we'll go to Website. We'll rename that from Website to Loop, and we'll paste in our URL, and we'll post to the channel about it, so Arthur and Ford are aware. We'll click on Save, and you can see across the top there we've now got Loop. And in the posts, we've got me saying that I've added a tab to the top, and it's caught up now. So if we click on Loop at the top, and that's opened in another window, but I'll drag it in a moment. Here we go. So hopefully you can see that, and we can see our project planning template, and we can also see our meetings and the agenda that we popped in there, and Arthur and Ford can work on it. So I'm just going to close that down for now, and I think we'll add another tab, and maybe an obvious one, but we can't really do a project without talking about Planner. So let's click on there, and Planner's already on our list, but we can just highlight it there by, if it's not in your list, you can just search for it, and we can create our new plan. So again, the tab name, some people like to leave it as tasks. I actually call it Planner, so we know what it is. I'll leave the post to the channel again, and we'll click on Save. And we'll get some buckets. And if I click back to posts, we can see there that it's posted about that for our colleagues. So if I go back to Planner here, you can see there's a couple of buckets created. So to do, we'll call the next one in progress, say, and we'll call the last one completed. And there we go. So we've got three buckets now that we can use and assign tasks to. So Planner is wonderful for simple projects, and the Kanban board view is fantastic. If you do need more complex project management, then you can move up to a Planner Premium plan, or it used to be called the project plans, and you'll be able to use things like dependencies and that type of thing on your project. So we've got a few views here. So we've got the grid, we have the board. We've got a schedule with a calendar on it, and we've also got a chart. So let's go back to the board. I think this is where Planner shines with its Kanban view. Okay, so let's create our first task here, and we mentioned agendas in the Loop workspace. So let's ask somebody to do that. So we'll create an agenda. We'll make that for in roughly a week's time, and we'll assign that to Arthur, and we'll add the task there. So we've got create agenda. Now it's assigned to Arthur. You can see his little moniker, and once Arthur actually starts this process, we can move it across into the in progress section. So as a project manager, it's a nice simple view for me to see which projects are still in the to-do, what our backlog is, what's actually been started in the in progress, and what we've completed in the last section there. So if you're using Microsoft Teams to manage projects for the first time, the Planner element is great. As I said, it's fantastic for simple projects, but you may soon outgrow it and need that Planner Premium subscription, which adds an awful lot of depth to the project planning capabilities. But we'll stick with this simple one for now. And by using Microsoft Teams for the project management, we can also use our personal planner as well to highlight tasks. So I'm actually going to assign myself, I'll just use a test task for now, and I'll assign it to me, and we'll give myself a couple of weeks to do that one, or a few weeks. And We've got that test task now, and as we covered in the to-do video, we've got the planner task over here, and we very much focused on using to-do for our own tasks. But obviously this is a team task, and it surfaces in the same place. So if I head over to the actual planner tab, we can see that in my tasks, I've got it automatically goes to the assign to me. We've got that test task. It shows us what the planner is, but we can also use the My Day functionality and the This Week as we created in the previous video. And when we click on all, we'll obviously see those events, and it quite nicely differentiates between them, and I can see my due date. So going back to the to-do video, just as a quick recap, we used a weekly scheduling session to put these in. So I can see that this one is 18th to 12th, so I will put that into this week when I'm doing that session on the Friday. So let's head back to our team, into Customer Portal project, and we'll add our final tab. So the final tab that I still use quite a lot is Whiteboard. So let's click on that. We'll just leave it as Whiteboard, and again we'll post to the channel about it. We'll not use the loop components in here. I still find this quite useful for brainstorming or sticky note sessions. I know in one company I worked with, they love sticky notes, so you know, we can create all our sticky notes, and we can put some notes in there and keep a tab of that. Loop is great for this type of brainstorming as well, but yep, leave it as an option there. If you find it useful, it's good. You can freeform diagrams, you can do all sorts of things in there. Before we wrap up, I'm going to cover a couple of tips which I find useful. So I'm going to move back over to posts, and I'm going to create a new post here, and click on there, and then I'm not actually going to type this out, but I'm going to click the plus icon so we can open up our actions and apps. And in here we've got lots of different options that we can do, but polls is quite a good one. So I'm going to do what colour do we want for our portal? Oops, there we go. It's actually figured out what I'm trying to do there, and it's given us lots of different options. So I could let's add all of these in, and if there's a colour there that I didn't have, we've got purple. So let's pop in purple. We can add it there. You can allow people to choose multiple selections with a colour. I'm not going to do that. You can also figure out who's voted for what. Maybe best not to do that. So let's click preview, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, to me that looks good, and we can submit a vote, and we'll click send. And we've got new activity there, so we can see our poll here. I'm going to go for green, I think, and I can submit my vote, and then as people vote, you can see green is the 100% there. So Arthur and Ford in our example would see this, and they can vote on that. Excuse me. The next thing, which is a little tip, is when you're scheduling a meeting. So we did our agendas and whatnot in Loop earlier on, is to schedule these in as channel meetings, which are slightly different. So we could go to our calendar over here and schedule meetings in there, but we can also bring this down and schedule a meeting here. And then this aligns it to this customer portal project. As I mentioned earlier, we can record and transcribe automatically, and it keeps it contained within our project hub then. So maybe a better way to do that. So I'm just going to click cross on that. Before you start the project proper, a good good thing to do is to invite all the project team members to a call and go through the setup of the hub that we've created here in Teams, so we can go through all these tabs and make sure that everybody understands where they should be communicating and how they should be communicating, and set some expectations there. Where all our resource files are in the files tab, and go through the file structure that we've created in here, and anything else that you need to do. You don't have to follow these, you can do your own, which are pertinent to your projects. Then also where our tasks are in Planner, or also Loop is a relatively new Microsoft application. People may not know how to use it, so some information on that goes down really well. And then you know that the whole project team are on board, and they know how to use the system that we've created. So that's it really for today. With Teams as the hub and Loop for the enhanced collaboration, we're well on our way to managing projects more efficiently. So remember that simplicity and transparency are the keys to success when you're running your projects. Well, I hope you found that information useful. If you did, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more tips on maximising Microsoft 365. If you do have any questions or queries, drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But for now, happy project managing.